Week 2 Dolphins fans. Are we recovered enough yet from that week 1 game? I'm recording this on Wednesday. However, on Tuesday night, they showed the replay of Dolphins Chargers. I even have the game already DVR'd, but you know what? If it's on, I'm going to watch it. So I've seen that game quite a few times. So I am just already ready for Sunday night. And that's one of the storylines of this week's game is we get the primetime slot, we get the national audience, and we get a divisional game on the road week 2. Let's take care of the Patriots in Foxborough. It's the golden matchup. We get to play them in September. We got to take advantage of these type of opportunities. So that's what we're talking about today. Today is video number 1 of likely 2 preview videos that I'll do for the Dolphins Patriots. Today, we're talking some of the latest team news, some injury updates from today's practice report. Obviously, we'll talk about some of the matchups in this Dolphins Patriots game. The next preview video, we'll obviously be talking more about the game, but I want to answer more viewer questions in that video as well. So go ahead. If you've got questions you would like me to address in that final preview and prediction video, go ahead, drop them in the comments, because remember, get subscribed, definitely get subscribed. But if you leave a comment, that is your ticket. That is your entry to win this Jalen Waddle 8x10 autographed picture. That drawing will be held at the post-game, the Dolphins Patriots recap video. Easy for me to say. So a couple videos left to get entered to win that. But let's jump right in with some of the news that we had received. Like I said, got this on Wednesday. Tua, as we all probably assumed, named the Offensive Player of the Week, because honestly, I mean, who was his competition even for this? The dude blew it away. And honestly, you know who his competition was? Probably his teammate, probably Tyreek Hill. Those two guys could have just split this award, but they're obviously going with Tua. He gets it. 466 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, over 100 passing rating. But I'm going to say this, you know what? Let's go ahead. Let's do it again. I already talked about how important this divisional game is, Sunday night, national audience. But we're going to have to back it up. And I say that for a reason, and that reason I'm going to get to later in this video. But I truly believe we're going to need to see another strong showing from Uno. But let's talk a little bit about today's injury report. We're going to focus on Teron Armstead during that as well, because today's injury report listed running back Raheem Mostert as a did not participate with a knee injury. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind. He got a lot of veteran days of rest, some ease-in days throughout training camp and everything. So there's probably a little bit of scheduled maintenance monitoring for this. However, I was also told that they do believe that there's something going on, but they do believe he'll be good. He'll be ready to go, but obviously they're going to play it a little bit safer. They're going to continue to monitor this knee, this injury throughout the week. So definitely something to keep an eye on for a big reason, because look at the running backs we have behind him. It's Salvon Ahmed, it's Devon Achane, it's Chris Brooks. You're going to notice the common denominator there. 2 of those guys are rookies. One of those guys an undrafted free agent. One of those guys has never even been active for an NFL game. So our biggest guy with experience in that group is Salvon Ahmed. So maybe there's a chance we see more snaps for a guy like Ahmed. Maybe we see Devon Achane, who was listed as a full participant once again today. Maybe we see him activated as well. But once again, one of those things to continue to monitor as we get a little bit closer to game day. But I want to talk about Teron Armstead, because I've also been told, you know what, this dude is pushing to play. He was limited in today's practice. With that being said, he was also wearing the red no contact jersey. So extremely limited in today's practice. But he basically said, I want to push it. I want to give it more tomorrow, Thursday's practice as well. And we'll see how that plays out. But if there's one thing I can tell you about this injury, it's that Teron Armstead wants to push through. He wants to play. He is pushing this coaching staff to play. So if he doesn't play, that is essentially the coaching staff saying, you know what, Teron, we'd love you to be out there as well, but we want to save you from yourself, give you an extra week to prepare. You can maybe make your debut at home against the Denver Broncos next week. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, if Teron Armstead cannot go, it'll once again be Kendall Lamb at left tackle, who did a pretty damn good job filling in, if I do say so myself. The Patriots injury report was also very, very interesting, because we always think that we've really been bitten by the injury bug. This offensive line, definitely bitten by the injury bug. Trent Brown, starting left tackle in concussion protocol. Now, earlier in the week, Jalen Phillips was on the Levitard show. I don't know if you caught that or not, but they were talking about like what tackles give you issues. Like who's one of those guys like, oh, that's a tough guy to face. He actually singled out Trent Brown. So this is a significant injury because obviously he's one of the better tackles in the game. And it's a guy that Jalen Phillips has called out as being one of the better, more competitive tackles in the game as well. But they're starting guards, Cole Strange, and then Mike, hopefully I don't butcher the name. Onwenu, I've heard of him, but I don't know his name particularly. But they're starting guards both injured in the opener as well. Center David Andrews is injured. They've got a lot of injuries up front, not to mention Keyshawn Butte, Devontae Parker. Both of those guys were limited as well. On Wednesday's injury report, once again, easy for me to say. But regardless, definitely something to pay attention to because we all know how important this offensive line matchups are every week. Let's talk about some of these matchups as well because I really thought in that Patriots-Eagles game, so the Patriots gave up, 25 points? Let's look a little bit deeper than that, though, in this because I thought the Patriots defense actually put on a pretty strong performance. Consider their opponent as well. This was Philadelphia, the Super Bowl representatives from last year with one of the most dynamic running attacks that we've seen in the NFL. And then to go along with that, you got Hurts who exploded. You got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith who, for my money, like it's Waddle and Hill, and then it's probably Chase and Higgins, and then right behind there it's A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. So they've got a pretty high-powered, potent offense. The Patriots' run defense allowed 97 yards to the Philadelphia Eagles. That offense, that rushing attack that is significantly better than what we've seen from the Dolphins' rushing attack. Now, their pass defense only allowed 154 passing yards to Jalen Hurts, who, like I said, I still think Hurts has a little ways to go, but man, he actually proved last year quite a bit to his doubters, like, hey, I'm here, I'm ready to go. And that Eagles offense scored just one touchdown in that game, limited to 4 field goals. They actually scored one of their touchdowns on defense. When they got up like 16-0 right away, one of those touchdowns was on defense. So you can't blame the Patriots defense for giving that. So that's why I was talking about Tua and the Dolphins offense remaining hot because this Patriots defense, granted, it's only week 1. We got a lot of football to consume and to digest before we can make too many really concrete claims. But I'm willing to bet right now that the Chargers defense isn't quite on the level as this New England Patriots defense that we saw, at least from the first week against that Philadelphia Eagles offense, who was one of the better offenses last year. So I think we would all like to see a little bit more from the running game, but I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't be surprised if this particular game plan calls for more passing again. And with Raheem Mostert popping up on the injury report, maybe that's something that plays into Mike McDaniel's decision making. It's like, you know what? We'd love to get the running game going. That's one of the things we want to focus on this year. But sometimes you got to play your matchups, and sometimes you gotta just do what is going to end up being right for the team in that situation. So I think another big game from Tua and this passing offense is what you're going to have to do in order to get things cooking against this defense. The other thing I want to talk about, switching to the defensive side of the ball, is really just kind of containing what the Patriots have and what I think that is going to be more so their calling card this year. And that's containing their running backs and their tight ends, and especially those guys out of the backfield, talking about the running backs there. So Kendrick Bourne did have 2 touchdowns, obviously wide receiver for the Patriots, did have 2 touchdowns last week, 6 catches, 64 yards in that game. Outside of him, though, really wasn't much in regards to explosive plays. I think Douglas had like 4 for 40. Another guy was sprinkled in here with a catch or 2. Really wasn't much, though, from your wide receivers. It was the running backs and it was the tight ends. Between the combination of Ramondre Stevenson, Zeke Elliott, Hunter Henry, and Mike Gesicki, those 4 players caught 19 passes for 170 yards and a touchdown. Now, look what we did against tight ends and running backs last week, because we talked about Austin Eckler being one of those running backs you got to key in on in the passing game with his ability as a wide receiver. We allowed 9 catches, 89 yards, and a touchdown to the combination of Austin Eckler, Donald Parham, and Gerald Everett. So we didn't do terrible. However, them finding the end zone with one of their tight ends was definitely something that we have to. That's a mismatch. That's one of the things that we haven't been able to hone in on quite yet defensively. But this is one of those matchups that you really need to pay attention to. And if you're going to try to take away their bread and butter, because that's kind of the Bill Belichick style. What is this team good at? Let's take away that. We'll make something else beat them. Well, if you give him a little bit of a taste of his own medicine and you try to take away Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki revenge game, by the way. Do you want him showing us up? I love Mike Gesicki. I loved his time with the Dolphins. Don't really want him showing us up, however. So you don't want the tight ends to beat you. You don't want the running backs to beat you. You make those wide receivers beat you. Make Mac Jones beat you with someone on the outside, because I've got faith in Xavier Howard, and I've got faith in Javon Holland and Vic Fangio calling this defense, and a guy like Cater Kohu. I don't think their wide receivers can beat us, even without a guy like Jalen Ramsey. So you make sure you key in, you take away that strength, the tight ends, the running backs. Take those guys away, and I think that's one of the matchups you got to watch for when the Dolphins are on the defensive side of the ball. But like I said, we're going to talk a lot more about this game in the final preview and prediction video. If you've got any questions you'd like considered for that video, go ahead, drop them in the comments. Get subscribed. A comment left equals an entry for the Jalen Waddle 8x10. That is what I have got today, Dolphins fans. Until next time, fins up.